starting off by running through some ideas about automating your business or your workflow, so that you can save time and money in your business and basically let other things happen in the background so you can concentrate on the important stuff. I like moving things forward and hopefully making some money. Okay, so Internet Business School, we do an awful lot of automations in the background as we run the office, you know, on a small team. There's myself and my wife. And over the last few years, I've set things up in the background so that things take care of themselves an awful lot more. So I've got time to do other stuff for Simon and look after all our customers. So we're going to zip through and talk about automating a business using things like Zaps, okay, and other shortcuts and interconnecting software. Okay, so you use automations all the time, even if you don't know it. Okay, so if you just think about when you're got your Google Assistant or Siri or your smart devices, you're sort of chatting into your Alexa and saying, Alexa, turn on the telly. Okay, and that's it is an example of automation. What's happening in the background is Alexa is set up to do something called if this, then that. Okay, so it's if this happens, then I'll do that. Okay, and it's been there as sort of the fundamentals of automation in the internet world right from the beginning. But over the last decade or so, things have moved on, and there's other ways that you can automate and connect. So and there's other things that will go on in the background. If you think about in your email accounts, okay, you get abandoned cart emails all the time. You know, if you were browsing on something and put something in your basket, then a day or so later, you tend to get an email through saying, oh, are you still interested in this? Would you like to come back and buy this? And that's an automated process that's looked at. You've looked at something, and if you haven't bought it in a couple of days' time, let's send you a reminder email. You've got things like Google Ads remarketing. So you know, you look at something, browse something on the internet, and that you're then every day for the next week you're seeing that ad pop up in your browser or on your social media. It follows you everywhere. Right? That's all an automated process. So it's time for us to look at ways that you can take advantage of that in your own business. So, I mean, if you just think about it, the process that you went through to sign up for Saturday School, okay, you filled out a form on a website and you got sent a link through to your inbox, and we signed you up to Zoom, and it was all done in seconds. Okay, if I'd had to do that manually, that would have been you calling me in the office or sending me an email, having a conversation, say, yeah, I'd like to join Saturday School, and I'd be going, okay, right, I'll send you a link. So I'd have to sign you up on Zoom. I'd have to mark you in our CRM system so that we could make sure that we sent you emails every week to tell you what's going on, and then send you a welcome email. So there'd be a lot of steps I'd have to go through. And I reckon, you know, if you said that that took an average sort of 5 minutes per person, you know, on the scale of things, it's not a huge amount of time. If you think about it, we've probably got over 2,000 people who've signed up to attend Saturday School. 2,000 lots of 5 minutes adds up. In fact, it's pretty much an entire week of work that would be involved of one person just setting you all up on Saturday School. So automations are absolutely key and cool, and I couldn't live without them. So if you think about in your own business, okay, you've got information coming at you from all over the place. Right? So I've listed a few there. You've got your email contacts coming in. You've got contacts coming in on social media. You've got sales coming in, surveys, forms that people fill out. Okay, you might have reviews coming through, and your business is going to be bespoke to you. So you might have lots of other different ways that customers can contact you, and different sources of information that are flying in that you've got to manage on a day-to-day basis. And they're coming in from all of your different platforms. Okay, so you know, you might have a CRM system. You might be using things like Monday.com. You might be using Mailchimp. All sorts of different platforms. You might be a GrooveFunnels person. Sorry, Hugh was just asking what a CRM system. It's a customer relationship management system. So it's somewhere where I would keep all my email contacts and do email marketing from, and it's kind of like an integrated system. Okay, does that make sense to you? Okay. But you know, you would have one of those when you're got a slightly bigger business. Okay, when you're starting out, you might just keep your information in. You know, you might just have your contacts in Mailchimp. Okay, which is great, or you might have them in Kajabi. So you might be using marketing out of one of those learning management platforms. Okay. So basically there's loads and loads of different sources, and what you've got to try and do is create processes where your data is manageable and you can get systems to talk to each other. Because if you don't, you are just trying to do everything manually, right? And if you're trying to do it manually, it's going to take you a whole load of time. If you're you know, you might miss emails, you might make spelling mistakes, all sorts of things. And it's going to give you an absolute headache, increase your costs, and it's not going to be enjoyable. It's really not going to be enjoyable. So wherever you are in your journey, okay, you have to take advantage of the platforms that are out there to help you be efficient and move forward. Okay. And effectively, you're looking for those little ways, and there's plenty of them, to try and do things as automatically as possible. Okay. And so what you'll be looking for, and I'll show you how in a little while, is you'll be looking for those triggers. Okay, so and how to set up different actions based on those trigger events. So if we have a look at what can actually be automated, I've just mentioned that they're based around 4 different areas. So you've got triggers, you've got any type of data collection, information routing, or activity tracking. Those are the main 4 categories. So just to run through those a little bit more. So a trigger is basically anything that can be either human initiated or machine initiated. So it could be, for instance, like someone making a request or an event just occurring through our CRM system, just something happening that flags up to the system saying, right, okay, this has gone on, what next? What should we do with it? Okay. If we look at data collection, so that's mostly around people filling in forms and surveys. So I might have a form in Jot form that I want to, you've kindly given me lots of valuable information, and I need to move that somewhere else in my systems, and also create actions based on what you say. Okay. And that then moves us on to a sort of an information routing, okay, which is moving that information you've given me between my different systems, and also hopefully sort of creating sort of rules and logic around where and how that information is sent. Okay. And then finally, you've got that sort of activity tracking, which is kind of like a whole integrated sort of end-to-end process, so that you can look at all your data and you can sort of audit it and measure it for performance and gain insights out of what your customers are doing. So, and then feed that back into your business to move your business forward. So handling that data side is really important and key. So the tools of the trade that we would use are essentially built around, there's a one level which is basically shortcuts. So I'll show you those in a moment. So that might be something that's not quite automated, but it's a process that you can put into your systems to just sort of reduce the number of steps involved. We've all seen those adverts on telly where someone will be pressing a few buttons on their phone and it always says sequence shortened to make something magic happen. I'll just show you how you can use those in your own email browsers and your Google Drive. There's lots and lots of stuff out there that can help you move forward. There's also the inbuilt integrations. Okay, so that's essentially websites or platforms that have already realized that they need to link and talk to other systems. Okay, so that might be, example might be Mailchimp, okay, that you can integrate with WordPress or Lead Pages, and they've got in their sort of setup backend simple ways for you to do that yourself. Okay, and then finally there's the sort of integration apps. And those are things like Zapier, which is the most common format, and that's for linking lots of different platforms when sort of inbuilt integrations don't work, and you can build lots of sort of complicated processes in Zapier that doesn't just sort of involve a single step, but can be lots of sort of multiple steps after an event. Okay, so that's basically the sort of three bits that I'm going to show you through today. Okay, so shortcuts. Okay, so I said shortcuts are sort of little add-ins that you can pop into your systems. Okay, so they're time-saving, not necessarily automatic. So they do need a little bit of human interaction. So examples of those are sort of the browser extensions that you can put into your Google Chrome or your Outlook to link, say, your Google Chrome with your Dropbox account or your Zoom account, so that you can set up meetings really quickly. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them if you know where to look. And they're basically going to give you that sort of added functionality within your software and make things a lot more easy for you. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do, forgive me, I've got lots of different windows open on my computer, so I'm going to just jump out of the screen share and just show you some of the simple browser extensions. Okay, so let's just stop out there, and then we're going to share a different screen. This one. So, I'm just going to show you the whole desktop. Right. Move those slides out of the way. Okay, so hopefully now you should just be able to see my Kajabi page that I've got ready. And we're going to have a look at Google Chrome Store. So Google Chrome is one of the most sort of solid browsers out there. I know everyone's got their own personal preferences of browser. Okay, just tell me that you can see that nice and easy. See that screen well, please. Yeah, okay, brilliant. Right, so you should be seeing my Chrome store. Thank you, Jerry. Super duper. Okay, so Chrome browser is, if you're doing any email marketing or anything online, you've really got to use Google because of all the Google tools. So it makes sense to use Google Chrome and Gmail so that you can access all the other marketing tools that are available. Okay, so in Chrome, you zip to the Chrome Web Store, and there's lots and lots and lots of different extensions that you can add into your browser. Okay, so I've just chosen here. If we go to categories, there are photos, productivity, search tools, shopping, social and communication. There's all sorts of stuff. I've just chosen a group by Google that are made by Google. Lots of people can make extensions to add into the Chrome store. Not all of them are brilliant. So it's well worth keeping an eye on the reviews here. So you can see this one's got sort of 4.5 stars out of 5 positive reviews. Looks like it could be quite good. This one's only 3 stars, maybe a little bit rubbish. I mean, if I take off the options of by Google, you'll start seeing some other apps down here. These have got good reviews, and you'll see some that have got terrible reviews. They just don't work, or they've stopped working. Okay. So a little example. Okay, I'm going to choose this by Google. There's an app here, or an extension here, that says save to Google Drive. Okay, sounds like it could be quite useful. When you click on here, it will tell me it will save the web content or screen capture directly to the Google Drive. That could be quite useful for me. All I'm going to do is just click it, add it to Chrome. It will give me some little warnings about the data usage. Okay. And bang, simple as that. So up in your browser toolbar, okay, on the right hand side in the black box, you'll see one of, I think it's almost looks like a bit of a piece of a jigsaw to me. Okay, and this is where you start seeing all your extensions. So I've got quite a few logged in: Zoom Scheduler, Tag Assistant, Speed Test, Seo Quake. Anyone who's done the diploma course should be familiar with a few of those. Okay, and if I just pin that new one, save to Google Drive, I'm just going to pin it so that it appears up here. Okay, and if I now click that, I get a little warning that says cannot screen capture Chrome pages to a standard web page. Okay, so I wonder how that actually works. Let's just try a different site. See how farm photos works. And this one I want. It's just installing it. There we are. Tried earlier. I've got to just assign it to the right Google Drive and allow it. Oh, that didn't work very well, did it? I should have tested that one. It sounded like it'd be really good, so maybe I'll give that one a rubbish review. But okay. One of the other ones we've got in there is the Seo Quake. that I've got installed, and that just allows me to look at the SEO diagnosis of any web page. So if you've got your own website, instead of having to sort of go out and to go into Seo Quake, I can get a report on this particular website straight away in my browser, which is really good if you're got your own website and you want to see what's wrong with it and what could be improved. Right. So little extensions up in there are really useful. If it's a rubbish one like this one seems to be, then just delete it and get rid of it, give it a rubbish review. But if you look through that list of extensions, you will find little bits and pieces that help you. You know, if you're bad at spelling, then install Grammarly. If you're working in multiple language, then try Google Translate. Yeah, if you want linkaging into view, edit, and create Office documents in your browser, that would be useful. Okay, there's lots and lots of different sites there. So it's well worth looking through those lists of browser extensions. Get rid of those ones. Similarly, you might find tools that are useful for your Gmail. And there's extra extensions that you can set in there. If I just go to my Gmail settings, add-ons. Okay, these are my add-ons, and there's something called the Google Workspace Marketplace, where you can add extra functionality. So I've got a sort of link into my Asana project management side, so that if an email comes into my inbox, I can just create an event or a task in Asana straight away, straight from my inbox. I've got Mailchimp on there so that we can check when people have opened their emails or clicked on links in them. So lots and lots of different apps here. So we'll just look at one here, stuff that works with Gmail. So you can link up your Trello in there. Zoom is quite a good one for us if I wanted to make an automatic Zoom meeting with a contact based on an email that comes into my inbox. No problem at all, just do it on a click of a button. DocuSign, Evernote, there'll be all sorts of apps in here that you can use depending on your needs and the systems that you've got set up. Okay, so it is just a case of knowing these are here and working through them and finding the ones that you get on with. Okay, and you know, some that you will fall in love with and some you won't get on with. Okay, it's just the way of it. But the ones you fall in love with, they've got the potential to sort of change your life, to make things so much easier for you. Okay? So I encourage you to look through these workspaces and marketplaces, and you'll find others similar sort of marketplaces for Outlook as well. Okay, or if you're on the Windows platforms, you know, Microsoft Edge will have app stores as well that you can use. Okay, so those are the sort of shortcuts that you can use in your marketing. Okay, I'm just going to go back to, we'll stop sharing that page and just go back to slides. Okay, right. So if we move on now to the sort of more bespoke linkages of software, okay, it's kind of helpful to know how these bits of information work, okay, and how things are moved around, because there might be terms that you come up with in your process when you're looking at your own automations. So there's something called an API linkage, the application program interface. And there's also something called webhooks. And these are what most of the software apps like Zapier, or when there's pre-built integrations, they're using either one of these two protocols. Okay, and they basically both of them they allow the sort of syncing and relaying of the data between two applications, but they have kind of two different means of doing so. So they serve slightly different purposes. Right? And so if we try to put it simply, an API basically does stuff when you ask it to, whilst a webhook does stuff on its own when certain criteria are met. Okay, so it's kind of like a trigger event. Okay, so if you kind of think as an API, think of it as like a text message you send to a friend to get more information about an event they're hosting. You ask that question by text message, and they send a response. Okay, with a webhook, you would tell your friend once to text you whenever they're organizing another event, just to let you know. You put in that one request, and then they'll always send you the updates whenever they're setting up a new event. Okay, so they've got two slightly different uses and two different bits, sort of longevity. Okay, that's just for the people who really want to know a little bit more. Everyone else, you can just forget that, because it will all happen in the background behind you. Okay, so inbuilt integrations. So if you're doing marketing yourself already, okay, you might have platforms like Mailchimp. You might be doing things like Groove funnels. You might be using ClickFunnels or Stripe, all sorts of different platforms. Okay, and all of these platforms, okay, have their own sort of integrations directory. Okay, and a lot of people just sort of miss that. They just avoid it because it sounds a little bit too tricky. But I'm going to show you that it really is something that you should have a look for. Okay, screen sharing is paused. Why is my screen sharing paused? Sorry, did you miss that slide? My screen sharing seemed to have just stopped for a moment. Let's just try and reactivate it again. There we are. Okay, so hopefully you just see inbuilt integrations there on the screen. Is that better for you? It's yours. Okay, brilliant. Sorry about that. I'm trying to do this sort of presentation and jump in and out of slides and show you some pre-built stuff that's in the background. It gets a little bit hectic. Okay, so that's good that works. Let's just jump out of that bit though and go have a look back at my main desktop. Just move that out of the way. So what I mean by pre-built integrations, okay? So say you're using Mailchimp, okay? If you always kind of look down at the bottom of web pages, you'll always see something that says about integrations or integrations directories, okay? And they're well worth just having a click on and seeing what you can do. Okay, so with Mailchimp, they've got all these brilliant things that are already set up so that you can link your Mailchimp account with your Stripe account or in your Squarespace or your Drupal. Okay, you could link your Mailchimp account with your live chat account. So have a quick look at that one. Okay. So this one, if you had Mailchimp and live chat, you could link up your live chat so that when people started the live chat and gave them their name and email address, you can enroll them directly into your marketing list. Okay, rather than having them as a, keeping the data in the live chat program, you want to transfer it across to your main Mailchimp marketing account. Okay, and it would just literally be a case of if you had a live chat account, just logging into that and then following the short instructions to connect it with your Mailchimp. Okay, it usually just involves just logging into one software site, logging into another, and joining them up, just giving them authorization to talk. Okay, it's really simple. Tassos is asking, do the integrations slow down the performance on a website? No, they don't slow anything down at all. Okay, it's just a data transfer in the background, so nothing's kind of loading. The information is already there, it's just passing it across somewhere else. If you were transferring across huge files of pictures or uploads or something like that, then yeah, it might have a bit of effect, but that's kind of not really the main thing that you're ever going to be using with these. David, can you ask if I can show the resource list at the end? Yeah, we can give you a list of some of those links. Okay, that's not a problem at all. Although the different places that you would look for automations and shortcuts will be different depending on sort of which computer platform you're using. In the same way that Android apps are different from Apple apps. There'll be slightly different sort of connections. Okay, so yeah, never be afraid just to follow the instructions in one of these setups. They're usually really, really good. They have a lot of these sites will have sort of step-by-step screenshots and videos just to show you how to do it. Okay, because they're really keen for you to link up your systems. Okay, so if you're a Mailchimp person, then definitely you need to sort of look at all the different things in here that you can use. Okay, every site has them. Kajabi has, which is our sort of learning management platform, has a lot of automated stuff that you can add in. So put my Facebook pixel in, put my Google Analytics active campaign to link up this site with other software. Okay, it doesn't. You notice something like Kajabi doesn't have an awful lot of integrations on that are pre-built. Okay, which can sort of hold you up at times. So I'm going to show you how we overcome that with something like Zapier in a moment. A few weeks ago, when I was on, I was talking about Jotform, and I was telling you how that has a whole load of information of integrations, thousands of them. Okay, so if you wanted to create a form which had a payment processor in it, yeah, you can link up your Jotform account with your Square account or with your PayPal account and just create a form that talk to each other. You can put data into your Google Sheets. All of these are integrations to make your software easy and work well for you. Okay, so you just have to use them. Have the confidence to go through and use them. Okay, in this Jotform integration, it will have a video that shows you how to just link things across. It's really easy. Okay, don't be afraid of them. Peter Haynes, hi Peter. Peter asks a question. He says, do I have a preference for Android apps over iOS? Hey, it depends on what phone I've got. Essentially, you know, if you are you've got an Android phone, you're going to use those Android apps. If you've got an Apple phone, Apple. You know, people are either fiercely one or the other over the years. I've tried both of them. You know, when I started in computing, in office work, everything was Windows, and I was looked at Apple and Macs with a bit of a snooty eye. And then I started using Apple because Simon works exclusively on Apple Macs, and I'm converted, and they're great. So it's kind of up to you. It's what you're used to, what you're comfortable with, and whether you're prepared to move to a different platform and a different setup. But you have to bear in mind that that if you're on sort of Android, which is backed by Google, I think, as part of that, you know, they'll try and keep you in that setup. If you're in Apple, they'll try and stop you integrating with some of the other products that only work on Android. So it's a bit of a minefield. But if you're doing internet marketing, it doesn't really matter which one you use. It's what works for you that matters, and what you're comfortable with. Okay. Okay. So these are the sort of pre-built integrations, and I use these sort of integrations all the time in marketing. Especially with places like Jotform in my payment processes. Okay, so I will have integrations to link to our CRM system is called Untitled, which sends out all the emails and does a lot of the actions in it for automations for events and on courses, so that if you've you know, if you've bought a course, or bought Simon's free book, that's recognized in Entreport, and then a few days after you bought it, we will schedule an automatic email that goes across to you to say, hey, hope you're enjoying the book, and here's some other stuff you might like to look at, all part of the integration process. Okay. But sometimes you come across softwares which won't talk to each other, or they won't do the stages and the complications that you need with your data. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the slides and explain a little bit more what I mean with that. But it means we're just going to have a going to have a look at Zapier in a moment. Hopefully we're back on my slides. Okay. So yeah, sometimes you have to look at pro versions. Okay, and these are, you know, famous ones that I've given you a list of. The Zapier is the one that most people have heard of, and that's where the term zap comes from. Other alternatives, automate.io comes up really well, Integrately, Integramat. We just kind of use, can't see my screen. Why is my screen sharing paused? Why is that worked? Okay, thank you very much for letting me know. Let's have another go. Share. Yeah, okay, that looks like it should be back on the screen again, Tassos. Thank you for being on the ball. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Oh, sometimes you need a co-pilot when you're doing these. You need volunteers for another meeting. Okay, so yeah, pro solutions. Okay, Zapier, that people have heard of, automate.io, Integrately, Integramat. Okay, there's no right or wrong one. Okay, all of these different systems have sort of free trials that you can go on, and it's about what works for you, what's what's intuitive. Okay, there are different sort of pricing levels as well. So, you know, if pricing is important for you, then all you need to do is just bung it in a search into Google, you know, alternatives to Zapier. Okay, and you'll bring up whole lists, blog lists of people who say, yeah, you should use this one, use this one, use this one. Okay, but just if you ever need to, just sign up for a free trial and try it, see if it works for you. Okay, so Zapier, as so, you know, you can start off with free, you know, a free sign up to see how it works. And this allows you to do sort of 100 tasks a month. So that's 100 sort of actions that the Zap that you create will fire. You can have up to 5 Zaps, and there will be a delay between when the trigger goes off and when the action is completed. Okay, so that they're not prioritizing you on the free plan. So this would mean, you know, if someone sent me an email and I'd set up a Zap that said, if someone sends me this email, can you send them, you know, a welcome email back? There'll be a sort of 15-minute delay. Okay? If you start going into the paid plans, you increase the number of your Zaps, and you can start doing multi-step Zaps and have filters and formatters and connect via webhooks. Okay? Don't worry too much about the terms yet. Okay, they kind of make sense when you have a look at them. And you can, just when you're ready, you can upgrade, and you can get prices for different number of tasks and months. We're on a professional plan. I think we have about 10 or 20,000 Zaps per month. We don't get close to them, but it's well worth having a look at. Okay, you can get different prices on these other systems. Okay, so just to show you really quickly how easy it is to do Zapier. Okay, I have set up a Zapier account. There we are. Hopefully you can see this. Okay, this is a free Zapier account I've got on one of my other Gmails. Okay, I've linked it. It's even in my app section. Look, it's logged out because I have been out of there. Okay, I've linked it to my Gmail account already, just to save a bit of time. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a Zap. Okay. If you explore in the Zaps section, okay, it will give you some ideas. So I haven't had it all. So if I wanted an app based around a Google Sheet, okay, then scroll down. I could set up a Zap based. Okay, so here's what I was working on. That basically automatically sends someone an email when a Google Sheet row is updated. Okay, might be useful. So because I might have a sales form that's linked to my Google Sheets, and I need to send someone a welcome email. So I'm just going to edit this Zap because I had it. Here's one I slightly prepared earlier. And essentially, we'll just let this load. Okay. We've got 2 stages. We've got trigger and action. Okay. So I've set it up. so that it is, the trigger is in Google Sheets. Okay, and I've linked up my Google account into here. Okay, and we're going to trigger an event when a new spreadsheet row comes in. Okay, so I'm just going to sign into my Google Sheet to link it, which is on relation. Let's allow Zapier access to my Google account. Okay. So now in my Google Drive, I'm going to choose the spreadsheet that I want to link on this trigger. So I set up one called Zapier Test, and I set up a few different columns in it, and it's going to pull across the fields from that that spreadsheet. Okay, and I'm just going to test that trigger to make sure it's working. Okay, and Zapier comes across, has a look at the spreadsheet I want to link it to, and looks at the column headings and brings across some sample data. Okay, so I just basically had a few quick column settings with a date, my name, my email address, that from my, imagine this is a customer. Okay, and it brings across that data and it gives them a data heading. Okay, so I'll show you why this is important, because essentially what we're going to do now is when this spreadsheet row is completed, we're going to create an action in Gmail, say send someone a welcome email. Okay, so we've got lots of options here. We could send them an email straight away. We could create a draft email. We could label them in our Gmail or reply to an email. Lots of different options. So this one we're just going to set up to send an email. Choose my account. There's the one I linked up earlier. Okay, and so we're going to set up the automation. Okay, so who is this email going to be set up to? It's going to be sent to the email address that our customer assigned in our Google Sheet. Okay, so it's going to that person. Okay. There. That's lovely. Oh, sorry, you can put multiple email addresses in as well. Let's just that one. So you can copy yourself an email in as well, and or do a BCC. You can choose who it's coming from. So I could have the email address from, it's coming from my business email address. Put your name in. So you want the email to be sent from you. And you just put a subject in saying welcome, and send it as plain text, and then just write your email in here. Okay, so you could just put in a hi name. Okay, and then welcome to my plan. Just set that up. Write whatever you want in your email. You can have your default signature, email signature in there. You can add attachments as well. So, if someone was signing up for a newsletter, say, you could send this welcome email to them and say, right, here's the link to the newsletter, or here's my PDF form, or here's my brochure. Okay. So can be quite useful in those terms. And we just run, every time we do this, we run a little test. Okay, and if there's any mistakes, it will say, oh, no problem. Okay, the value in the to field is invalid. So we would just go back to this one. Okay, because there's two emails in there. I'll fix that error. Test it again. Testing successful. Okay. And you just literally then turn on your Zap. Okay. And now that is ready to go. Okay. I'm just going to bring this across here. Okay. And this was where I had my spreadsheet. So if I put another bit of detail in here with a different email address, okay, that would then automatically send an email across. Okay, so that email had already arrived. All right, so it's that easy to do that automation. Okay, give your Zap a name, Gmail welcome, just so it appears in your list. Okay, and here are your Zaps, and you can turn it on and off, and you can add extra Zaps. Okay, so it is just a case of diving into something like Zapier and having a go and setting up your first automations. Okay, if you don't do it now, okay, it'll always be something there sort of sitting there in the background. But once you get into automations, you're going to love it. All right. And it just needs to be a habit. If you can set up 1 or 2 automations a week over, a month or 2, 3 months, everything just becomes so much easier for you. Okay. So that's an introduction to Zapier. Okay. And let's just jump out of there and go back to my slides. And if we've got any questions, I'm happy to answer. So, you've got any questions? Shot them into the chat box. David asks, why don't I write an ebook on these topics and let me sell it as well for £70 by 1993? Okay, excellent. All right. Yeah, these Saturday schools are about giving you ideas and giving you exposure to new bits of pieces of information. Okay, it's about content. Okay, for me, it's not about money. Okay, later date, I might write a course that's got all these different ideas in and let you buy it off me, David. Okay. Any other questions coming in? Okay. Edward asks, will this Saturday school be on replay, as this one with Zapier I find really useful? Okay. Yeah. So essentially, all of these Saturday schools are recorded. Okay. And we put them a week later into our YouTube channel. Okay, so you can watch them for free in YouTube. When we send you an email every week with a what's on, if you look at the bottom of that email, it gives you the link to the Saturday school. All right, to where to find us on YouTube. Okay, Mark asks, how do you track all the various automations that were automatically executed on a customer? Okay, a good point. You could track them in a Zap, but it's kind of like Zaps happen in the background. Okay, you only kind of, an automations happen in the background. You only notice them when they stop working. Okay, you kind of like assume that they're going to happen. You know, when people sign up to our courses, we say that, hey, you should get this course added to your members area in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, but if you don't see it, then let us know. Okay, we write that into our sort of welcome emails, because occasionally the zap, the automation will fail. It will just glitch. Okay, so that's my just sort of coverall if technology fails me. Right? But you know, a customer will generally let you know if something hasn't quite worked as planned. Okay, they're not 100% foolproof. The more money you pay to people like Zapier, the more reliable they will be. Okay, as they prioritize you more, but sometimes there can just be a bit of a glitch in the system. In my CRM system, I will basically, if something happens, I'll create a tag that goes with an event, so that, you know, if someone's bought something, your customer tag will say, hey, this person bought this product, or if they refunded it, they refunded that, and then I can use that to sort of create other actions based on your on what you've done. Okay, so it kind of builds up the building blocks for future. Okay, right, unless there's any more questions, I'll be staying on in the background, but we're going to have a couple of minutes break. Okay, and then we're going to be bringing in Mr. Sam Druce. Okay, and Sam is going to be basically answering this question. He's saying basically how coaches and consultants and course creators and agency owners can sell high ticket products or services with organic strategies without using any paid traffic. Okay, so Sam's been working with Internet Business School for on and off for quite some time. He's got his own consultancy business, which generates over $150,000 every month, an 80% profit. So I quite like some of that myself. And he does that basically without a single paid ad, and he does it all from free organic traffic. So people out there who are on our programs driving traffic, this is one that you're going to be really interested to see. Okay, and Sam's even going to show you one of the posts that you can do for free. So he's going to show you live on this Trading Next, and it made him, I think, over $100,000 in 30 days. So it's worth having a look at. All right, and hopefully I'll show you a system where you can make your own high ticket sale in the next few weeks. Okay, so don't miss out on this one. Take a couple of minutes, okay, and then Sam will be on, and then he'll run through his presentation, and there'll be Q&A at the end. Okay, so I'm just going to duck out and hand over to Sam.